Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
To show, make visible or apparent. The Metropolitan Museum is exhibiting Goya's works this month. Something shown to the public. The museum had many exhibits of Oriental art. Give an exhibition of to an interested audience. Walk ostentatiously. An object or statement produced before a court of law and referred to while giving evidence. Show an attribute, property, knowledge, or skill. He exhibits a great talent. To show, make visible or apparent. National leaders will have to display the highest skills of statesmanship. Something shown to the public. An electronic device that represents information in visual form. Something intended to communicate a particular impression. Made a display of strength. A visual representation of something. Attract attention by displaying some body part or posing, of animals. Behavior that makes your feelings public. A display of emotion. Exhibiting openly in public view. A display of courage. To show, make visible or apparent. Reveal to view as by removing a cover. Put in a dangerous, disadvantageous, or difficult position. Make known to the public information that was previously known only to a few people or that was meant to be kept a secret. Remove all or part of one's clothes to show one's body. The man exposed himself in the subway. The exposure of an impostor or a fraud. He published an exposé of the graft and corruption in city government. Expose while ridiculing, especially of pretentious or false claims and ideas. Abandon by leaving out in the open air. The infant was exposed by the teenage mother. Expose or make accessible to some action or influence. Expose the blanket to sunshine. Expose to light, a photographic film. Something shown to the public. The display of a motion picture. Give an exhibition of to an interested audience. We will demo the new software in Washington. A visual presentation showing how something works. The lecture was accompanied by dramatic demonstrations. Provide evidence for, stand as proof of, show by one's behavior, attitude, or external attributes. This decision demonstrates his sense of fairness. Give an exhibition of to an interested audience. Establish the validity of something, as by an example, explanation or experiment. The experiment demonstrated the instability of the compound. March in protest. Take part in a demonstration. Thousands demonstrated against globalization during the meeting of the most powerful economic nations in Seattle. Perform, a play, especially on a stage. The period of time that is happening now. Any continuous stretch of time including the moment of speech. That is enough for the present. Give, especially as an honor or reward. Introduce. A verb tense that expresses actions or states at the time of speaking. Represent abstractly, for example in a painting, drawing, or sculpture. Hand over formally. Deliver, a speech, oration, or idea. The commencement speaker presented a forceful speech that impressed the students. Give an exhibition of to an interested audience. Cause to come to know personally. Give as a present. Make a gift of. Bring forward and present to the mind. We presented the arguments to him. Recognize with a gesture prescribed by a military regulation. Assume a prescribed position. Present somebody with something, usually to accuse or criticize. Being or existing in a specified place. The murderer is present in this room. Formally present a debutante, a representative of a country, etc. Something presented as a gift. His tie was a present from his wife. Temporal sense. Intermediate between past and future, now existing or happening or in consideration. The present leader. Provide evidence for. The blood test showed that he was the father. Pretending that something is the case in order to make a good impression. That ceremony is just for show. Take someone to their seats, as in theaters or auditoriums. The usher showed us to our seats. Indicate a certain reading of gauges and instruments. The thermometer showed 13 degrees below zero. Indicate a place, direction, person, or thing, either spatially or figuratively. I showed the customer the glove section. Show in, or as in, a picture. Be or become visible or noticeable. His good upbringing really shows. Something intended to communicate a particular impression. A show of impatience. Give an exhibition of to an interested audience. She shows her dogs frequently. Give expression to. She showed her disappointment. Establish the validity of something, as by an example, explanation or experiment. The mathematician showed the validity of the conjecture. A social event involving a public performance or entertainment. They wanted to see some of the shows on Broadway. Finish third or better in a horse or dog race. He bet $2 on number 6 to show. Give evidence of, as of records. The diary shows his distress that evening. Make visible or noticeable. She showed her talent for cooking. The act of publicly exhibiting or entertaining. A remarkable show of skill. Lie adjacent to another or share a boundary. England marches with Scotland. The act of marching, walking with regular steps, especially in a procession of some kind. It was a long march. The month following February and preceding April. March in a procession. Walk ostentatiously. A degree granted for the successful completion of advanced study of architecture. District consisting of the area on either side of a border or boundary of a country or an area. The Welsh marches between England and Wales. Genre of music written for marching. Sousa wrote the best marches. March in protest. Take part in a demonstration. A procession of people walking together. The march went up Fifth Avenue. A steady advance. The march of science. Cause to march or go at a marching pace. They marched the mules into the desert. Forced to march. The Japanese marched their prisoners through Manchuria. Walk fast, with regular or measured steps. Walk with a stride. He marched into the classroom and announced the exam. March in a procession. The veterans paraded down the street. Walk ostentatiously. She parades her new husband around town. A ceremonial procession including people marching. An extended, often showy, succession of persons or things. A parade of strollers on the mall. A visible display. She made a parade of her sorrows. The act of traveling by foot. Walking is a healthy form of exercise. Careers in general. It happens in all walks of life. Take a walk. Go for a walk. Walk for pleasure. The lovers held hands while walking. Manner of walking. He had a funny walk. Baseball. An advance to first base by a batter who receives 4 balls. A path set aside for walking. After the blizzard, he shoveled the front walk. Accompany or escort. I'll walk you to your car. A slow gait of a horse in which 2 feet are always on the ground. Be or act in association with. We must walk with our dispossessed brothers and sisters. Give a base on balls too. Live or behave in a specified manner. Walk in sadness. Make walk. He walks the horse up the mountain. Obtain a base on balls. The act of walking somewhere. He took a walk after lunch. Traverse or cover by walking. Paul walked the streets of Damascus. Use one's feet to advance. Advance by steps. We walked instead of driving. Walk at a pace. The horses walked across the meadow. Provide evidence for. Provide evidence for. Stand as proof of. Show by one's behavior, attitude, or external attributes. Give evidence. Your basis for belief or disbelief. Knowledge on which to base belief. The evidence that smoking causes lung cancer is very compelling. An indication that makes something evident. His trembling was evidence of his fear. Law. All the means by which any alleged matter of fact whose truth is investigated at judicial trial is established or disproved. Have ownership or possession of. Enter into and control, as of emotions or ideas. What possessed you to buy this house? Have as an attribute, knowledge, or skill. He possesses great knowledge about the Middle East. A person who poses for a photographer or painter or sculptor. The president didn't have time to be a model, so the artist worked from photos. Construct a model of. Model an airplane. A representative form or pattern. A hypothetical description of a complex entity or process. The computer program was based on a model of the circulatory and respiratory systems. Worthy of imitation. Model citizens. Representation of something, sometimes on a smaller scale. A woman who wears clothes to display fashions. Something to be imitated. A model of clarity. Someone worthy of imitation. Every child needs a role model. The act of representing something, usually on a smaller scale. Create a representation or model of. Form in clay, wax, etc. Model a head with clay. Assume a posture as for artistic purposes. Plan or create according to a model or models. A type of product. His car was an old model. Display clothes as a mannequin. Model the latest fashion. Of textures, full of small openings or gaps. An open texture. Not defended or capable of being defended. An open city. Possibly accepting or permitting. Open to interpretation. With no protection or shield. Open to the weather. Not sealed or having been unsealed. The letter was already open. Openly straightforward and direct without reserve or secretiveness. An open and trusting nature. Affording free passage or view. Open waters. Start to operate or function or cause to start operating or functioning. Open a business. A clear or unobstructed space or expanse of land or water. Finally broke out of the forest into the open. Ready or willing to receive favorably. Used of mouth or eyes. Keep your eyes open. Spread out or open from a closed or folded state. Open the map. Become available. An opportunity opened up. Afford access to. The door opens to the patio. Open and observable, not secret or hidden. Open ballots. Where the air is unconfined. The concert was held in the open air. Affording unobstructed entrance and exit, not shut or closed. An open door. Become open. The door opened. Information that has become public. All the reports were out in the open. Make available. This opens up new possibilities. Cause to open or to become open. Mary opened the car door. Not brought to a conclusion, subject to further thought. An open question. Accessible to all. Open season. Affording free passage or access. Open drains. A tournament in which both professionals and amateurs may play. Begin or set in action, of meetings, speeches, recitals, etc. He opened the meeting with a long speech. Display the contents of a file or start an application as on a computer. Having no protecting cover or enclosure. An open boat. Make the opening move. Kasparov opened with a standard opening. Not having been filled. The job is still open. Not requiring union membership. An open shop employs non-union workers. Open to or in view of all. An open protest. Ready for business. The stores are open. Set theory, of an interval that contains neither of its endpoints. Without undue constriction as from e.g. tenseness or inhibition. The clarity and resonance of an open tone. have an opening or passage or outlet. The bedrooms open into the hall. Display proudly. Act ostentatiously or pretentiously. Expose to ridicule or public scorn. Criticize harshly or violently. A wooden instrument of punishment on a post with holes for the wrists and neck. Offenders were locked in and so exposed to public scorn. Punish by putting in a pillory. Introduce. This poses an interesting question. Be a mystery or bewildering to. A deliberate pretense or exaggerated display. Put into a certain place or abstract location. Assume a posture as for artistic purposes. We don't know the woman who posed for Leonardo so often. Behave affectedly or unnaturally in order to impress others. Pretend to be someone you are not, sometimes with fraudulent intentions. She posed as the Tsar's daughter. Affected manners intended to impress others. A posture assumed by models for photographic or artistic purposes. Characteristic way of bearing one's body. Stood with good posture. Capability in terms of personnel and materiel that affect the capacity to fight a war. Politicians have neglected our military posture. A rationalized mental attitude. The arrangement of the body and its limbs. Assume a posture as for artistic purposes. Behave affectedly or unnaturally in order to impress others. She postured and made a total fool of herself. Come to have or undergo a change of physical features and attributes. Bring out for display. The proud father produced many pictures of his baby. Cause to happen, occur or exist. This procedure produces a curious effect. Fresh fruits and vegetable grown for the market. Bring onto the market or release. Produce a movie. Bring forth or yield. The tree would not produce fruit. Cultivate by growing, often involving improvements by means of agricultural techniques. The Bordeaux region produces great red wines. Create or manufacture a man-made product. We produce more cars than we can sell. Display proudly. Act ostentatiously or pretentiously. Work or act as a babysitter. I cannot babysit tonight, I have too much homework to do. Show to a seat. Assign a seat for. Be seated. Sit and travel on the back of animal, usually while controlling its motions. Be around, often idly or without specific purpose. Take a seat. Assume a posture as for artistic purposes. Be in session. When does the court of law sit? Be located or situated somewhere. The White House sits on Pennsylvania Avenue. Serve in a specific professional capacity. Imposingly fashionable and elegant. A swank apartment. Elegance by virtue of being fashionable. Display proudly. Act ostentatiously or pretentiously. United States religious leader, born in Korea, who founded the Unification Church in 1954, was found guilty of conspiracy to evade taxes, born in 1920. The light of the moon. Moonlight is the smuggler's enemy. Be idle in a listless or dreamy way. The period between successive new moons, 29.531 days. Have dreamlike musings or fantasies while awake. Any natural satellite of a planet. Jupiter has 16 moons. Any object resembling a moon. He made a moon lamp that he used as a night light. Expose one's buttocks to. Moon the audience. The natural satellite of the Earth. Men first stepped on the moon in 1969. Persons who administer justice. A level shelf of land interrupting a declivity, with steep slopes above and below. A strong worktable for a carpenter or mechanic. A long seat for more than one person. Exhibit on a bench. Bench the poodles at the dog show. Law. The seat for judges in a courtroom. Take out of a game, of players. The magistrate or judges sitting in court in judicial capacity to compose the court collectively. The reserve players on a team. Our team has a strong bench. Move or swing back and forth. The act of waving. Exhibit aggressively. Brandish a sword. Make, offspring, by reproduction. Bring into existence. Bring out for display. Bring forth or yield. A lamp for providing momentary light to take a photograph. A very short time, as the time it takes the eye to blink or the heart to beat. If I had the chance, I'd do it in a flash. A short news announcement concerning some ongoing news story. A burst of light used to communicate or illuminate. A short vivid experience. A flash of emotion swept over him. Run or move very quickly or hastily. Tastelessly showy. A flash car. Gleam or glow intermittently. The lights were flashing. A gaudy outward display. Display proudly. Act ostentatiously or pretentiously. A bright patch of color used for decoration or identification. Red flashes adorned the airplane. A momentary brightness. Appear briefly. The headlines flashed on the screen. A sudden brilliant understanding. He had a flash of intuition. A sudden intense burst of radiant energy. Emit a brief burst of light. A shooting star flashed and was gone. Expose or show briefly. He flashed a $100 bill. Make known or cause to appear with great speed. The latest intelligence is flashed to all command posts. Protect by covering with a thin sheet of metal. Flash the roof. Display proudly. Act ostentatiously or pretentiously. The act of displaying something ostentatiously. His behavior was an outrageous flaunt. Alternative terms for gallows. Exposed to ridicule or public scorn. Hang on an execution instrument. Be the physical support of, carry the weight of. Resist or confront with resistance. cause to be slowed down or delayed. Rob at gunpoint or by means of some other threat. Continue to live and avoid dying. Resist or withstand wear, criticism, etc. Her shoes won't hold up. Hold up something as an example. Hold up one's achievements for admiration.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.